From the time Joseph Smith had the first vision, there have been a group of people who have always tried to destroy the church, falsify its beliefs, and try to lead people away from God and the Mormon Church, aka the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Back in early church history, this group of anti-Mormons would follow the Latter-day Saints everywhere they went, destroying their houses, tarring and feathering members, and killing Latter-day Saints, which would force the Latter-day Saints to move across multiple different states and territories. While anti-Mormons have calmed down in comparison to a few hundred years ago, they still commit arson, vandalism, and desecration to our meeting houses, while still spreading illogical lies about the church today through various ways like online podcasts and other forms of literature. Just like critics of other faiths will spread lies about other faiths' beliefs, anti-Mormons spread lies about Mormons, aka members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. But what are they actually doing to convince you of their lies? Well, they try to appeal to their audience through establishing credibility, manipulate emotion, and make illogical arguments in order to convince you of a false narrative. Anti-Mormons do a great job at establishing their credibility by saying rhetoric like they were once Mormon or they have a doctorate degree in something, which makes them a professional. By saying this, it establishes their credibility, which allows you to feel more inclined into believing their lies. Furthermore, when you look at their arguments, you see a whole lot of logical fallacies and manipulative tactics that are being used to manipulate you, their audience. In fact, here's a list of a few of the many logical fallacies and manipulative tactics that the antis will use within their claims. Feel free to pause the video and read them as it plays. Now that we have covered this, let's see some of the ways of how they will use logical fallacies and manipulative tactics within their arguments to manipulate you. Also, when addressing these critics' arguments, I'm not trying to attack these people individually for their beliefs, rather I am trying to show you their direct arguments from their own words, and where their arguments go wrong. This comment is from podcaster and content creator Nuanso on X or Twitter, who states, "Why I left but don't leave it alone. The Mormon religion is false. It's made up. It's based on Clement's lies that destroys families and harms people with its lies. Of course, I'm going to help people get out." There are a few logical fallacies within this one comment that we can discuss. For the sake of time, we'll discuss the hasty generalization and the appeal to emotion fallacies for this example. This person uses the hasty generalization fallacy by claiming that the church is false, that con man lied, and that the church destroys families and harms people. She recycles all these claims, however, she doesn't use any evidence to back up her claims while jumping to these conclusions. Also, she uses the appeal to emotion fallacy by saying that the church destroys families and harms people. You see, when people believe harm is done, it provokes emotion, which in return plants a seed for people to believe the claim about a certain person or group. By saying that the church destroys families and harms people with its lies, that will cause people to believe her illogical argument. It's also kind of interesting because one of the core doctrines of the church is the importance of happy, healthy, and Christ-centered families. John Dolan of the Mormon Stories podcast channel states, "Child abuse is rampant within active faithful Mormonism by any measure, like go to the FBI and look at per capita reports of child sexual abuse. Utah comes up very high in the rankings from what I understand, with talking to people in the FBI that investigate child abuse. Look, fact check me if I'm wrong." Alright, so before we even look at the logical fallacies and manipulative tactics, it is important to mention that he makes a bold claim about a dark issue, child abuse, but doesn't bring any measurable statistics to support his claim. If you are curious, here is where Utah lies on the child abuse per capita list by Statistica.com, which is compiled by data from the National Child Abuse and Neglect Data System. You will see Utah is not even in the top 20 states on this list, which is dishonest on behalf of John Dolan to make this claim when the statistics point otherwise. With this in mind, let's look one step forward at the list of logical fallacies and manipulative tactics he uses in this quote. He uses the Texas sharpshooter fallacy, begging the question false premise, and hasty generalization fallacies within his argument. Let's dive into each of these fallacies and how they apply. John uses the Texas sharpshooter fallacy by taking the data that Utah is one of the highest states with child abuse per capita, even though, as previously talked about, it isn't, and tries to make the data larger and more extreme than it actually is. Now, when I say this, I'm not excusing the child abuse that does happen in Utah. My only claim in making this is that the numbers are not as high as what John Dolan is saying. He also uses the begging the question false premise and hasty generalization logical fallacies by making a claim that Utah is one of the top states when it comes to child abuse, but he lacks the support of real evidence within his argument, so he is jumping to a conclusion without that real evidence. Whether you're a member of the church or simply just curious about the truth, my hope is that this video helps you recognize when someone is using tactics instead of truth. Let's build understanding and not division. Anyway, I encourage you to take this list of logical fallacies and manipulative tactics found in Light and Truth Letter and look at any anti-Mormon claim out there, and you will see for yourself how they manipulate their audience without the audience even knowing. In this video, we have discussed how anti-Mormons lie through manipulative tactics and logical fallacies. So make sure you like the video and subscribe to the channel for more upcoming content. I know this isn't my normal type of video, but it is something that I am passionate about, and I think this hatred needs to be changed within society. Anyway, thank you all for watching, and I will see you all next time. Goodbye.